Hey guys, welcome to this new tutorial of the LF1. So if you remember when we left off, you'll see that I have done a little bit of extra modeling here, and it's not just to repeat the same tutorial over and over, right? I'm going to just say what I did. I picked this window, I moved it slightly inside, right, 0.24. I lofted some of this detail in, right? And using this new window that has been displaced, I decided to split the roof of this volume, right? I used this one as the splitting element, and then, oh sorry, the object to be splitted was this surface, and I ended up with two surfaces, right, using this element. So that's pretty much the same of what we've done in other tutorials, and then obviously I detailed some of the roof here, and I used a smaller offset in this area that is close to the window, just following a little bit the images. So if we turn off the roofs, you'll see that I've also done that for the interior, right? There are two separate ones, but I've done that exactly the same for the interior, right? So I did it once for the outside surface, and then just offsetting and moving down and lofting, and this is what we have so far. I did this because I want to just jump on this video and do the bridge that connects these two surfaces here, right? So there's a bridge, there's a door here, you can go to the surface here, and then you can walk through around, and there's another stair in that area, right? So let's do the bridge, right? So if we go to the top view, you'll see that we have the bridge here specified. But it's important that we know what we want to work with, right? We need to, first of all, we could get rid of all these layers, right? That somehow are bothering. But we could just isolate this element and this element, right? That those are the two surfaces that are going to get breached, and invert selection and hide everything else, right? So we want to just breach those two. And there are several ways in which we could do this breach, and it's a diagonal breach. If we look a little bit at the images here, you can see that it goes straight, it goes down, and then connects, right? So we're gonna assume this height it's 120, and it has a thickness of something like, let's check, distance, perpendicular, more or less 167, so we could say 170 or so, right? So let's do first a rectangle, and I'm in the layer plan lines of 1.2, or sorry, 1.7 times 1.2. So this kind of, it's going to be a representation of the section of this volume. We could already offset to give how it's going to be the section of this element. So I'm using a distance of 12, and just to give a little bit of a section of this. So I'm going to get rid of these lines, extend, and trim. There we go. Join. So that would be like the section of our bridge, right? Looks pretty simple. And then the other thing we need is the lines, right? The lines that go all the way through. I don't want to draw these lines diagonally. I want to do them, well, yeah, I want to do them straight first, because I want to put several control points, like at least one here to do the inflection, right? So I want to do something like straight line with Shift and Alt selected, not to snap on anything. I just want to do control point, control point, and the end of the line, right? And now we can rotate this element. But it would be nice to just not to have to align this element later to this guy. We could already place our element in 3D in relation to our line. So whenever we rotate the line, we have kind of a perfect 90-degree element, right, aligned to that line, right? So we could, first of all, it would be useful to rotate this element like this, right? So we have it like that, and now we should rotate it here like this. Right, because what we want to do is just sweep this, right? But now it's very easy to just pick those two together and basically move them wherever we want to put them, right? So maybe somewhere here, and rotate, selecting both together, rotate. You can see that we can follow that line. That's kind of the angle that we should work with. That looks fine. So we could move now. And we want to place this in a way that we could still have the breach kind of working. So we could put it somewhere here, and we will trim the excess later, so that should be fine. So that's looking good, right? So this line has the control points, and if we start moving the control points, we will start kind of de-aligning, like losing the alignment that we have. So we want to scale the line first. You see that given the reference of the endpoint, we can extend the line with scaling very easily, and we could say somewhere there, right? If you want to rotate this again just to follow the line perfectly, that's up to you, right? So this is looking good. If we move the control points, because maybe this control point we want to put it somewhere here, we need to make sure that we are moving it from the endpoint and we are kind of snapping to near. So we're snapping to one of the points in the curve, and we don't have any kind of here. I'm going to just get closer, maybe somewhere there. So we can go into 3D view, and these two are aligned. We will place this later. And now the only thing that we're missing is just to move these control points, these two, move vertical to be aligned to this surface. But you see that if we snap over there, because this is a curve, we will have some inaccuracies, right? So this is something we want to avoid. Again, move vertical. Let's try with removing some of these. Okay, so we still need to just there's a trick that you could do. Basically, is a line. We could do a line from this point up just to check where this one and this one intersect, right? Or you could trim. The cutting object could be this one, and then you trim here, right? So you have this line now as a reference of where the control point goes. So just make sure that we are doing something accurately enough. It looks good. Let's move the control points of the part below now. This one should be easier because I'm moving vertical again, because this is a flat plane, or it should be. And now we can place this element in the edge of this curve. Look at this. This is what I was talking before. When we move this vertical by snapping on the line, we lost the perpendicular, in the parallel condition, right? What you could do is, let's say, do a curve here, do another curve here, and extend. Select the boundary curve, this one, select the curve to extend, this one. Right, so that's kind of the guidance of our parallel line, right? And you could move these two here. In this case I didn't use snapping, which means that it's not so precise, because this curve was in a different plane, right? So just use these tools to get with the level of accuracy that you want, right? So I'm gonna use sweep 1 to see what we're starting to get. Rail, this one, cross section, this one, and this is looking decent. Freeform, let's see some of the options. Oh, not that one. So I think that freeform is the one that works best. Let's say OK, and you can see we could do a new layer called bridge. That we have created this element here. If we were to show some of our other elements, we would see that we're getting that kind of intersection there, that is the one in the image. In our case, our surface is a little bit, we have somehow different heights than in the drawing or in the model. So we could see here that we have an interesting mistake. We were considering the top alignment, so let's go back and let's move this vertically to match this surface now. So we can say sweep again. So this is rail, this is the profile. That's fine. we lost that layer because I was doing Control C. So breach. And there we go. Let's now do some trimming. Maybe we want to do the window here. So we could say trim, cutting object, this one. Okay. So we're having some trouble to trim this. Let's try it with a line. How do we create a line here? We could do extract wireframe, and I'm gonna leave this line by saying Control that and then hide this. So we're gonna try to trim this surface now. Apparent intersections, yes. Cutting object, this one. We can see that the line works better. And we can also draw a line here of what we want our, how do we want to trim this one over here. So we could say maybe we could use some of our lines. So we do have a line here. We could say trim, use this line to trim this surface here. So you see that we're getting exactly a breach connecting here. Obviously you could keep on trimming this stuff and get rid of this detail here now to be able to access. But this is looking pretty good, right? So we could just turn off some of the lines and see the detail of what we're getting of this breach. It would be interesting at this point to just maybe cap or fill holes, I think. Okay, let's work with this guy. We could say extract wireframe. I'm gonna get rid of these signs that are the edge condition. So basically got rid of everything but this, right? I joined it and I can do a planar surface. So you could see how we could just start trimming that. And for this detail, let's see, how do we get rid of this element and this element? I'm gonna invert selection, hide, and I could, maybe the easiest way just to trim it for sure with lines. We could try to trim it first with the surface, and if it doesn't work, so select cutting objects. It works well. Yeah, there we go. Oh, we're missing one. So trim, select cutting object, this one, or just to trim this one here. That looks very good. This line, if you want, you can just get rid of that. Yeah, so that's it for this tutorial. We're getting very close to actually finishing some of the main features of the building. We are gonna be working on some of the opening here that would connect this volume and our with the main volume. and the stair here. So yeah, I hope this helps. See you guys soon.